Hello there, one and all, and welcome to When Games Were Fun. This week, we've got a slightly different video for you. I'm joined by my brother. Say hi.
Hello, how you doing?
And today, we're going to be discussing the topic of whether or not you, as a potential customer of the Nintendo Switch 2, whether or not you should actually go and buy one at launch, or whether you should kind of wait for it a little bit afterwards. But we've got kind of similar, would you say, perspectives on it? Obviously,
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
So we both pre-ordered it.
Well, yeah, I got it. Like, when did you get yours? You got yours pretty much bang on.
I got mine, so I happened to have a look. So obviously we live in the UK, and we had the Nintendo Direct on the 2nd of April. And one of our local retailers here is Smith's, so I had a look on one of their websites just in the evening of. It was about 7:15 in the evening, and I had a look on their website. Pre-orders were available, which was weird because I remember having a look on the Nintendo Direct. It said pre-orders weren't going to be available
you got
until
it earlier. You remember you texted me and you said, "Oh, I've managed to get one early." Than it was supposed to be, because I said originally they said that it was just invite only, wasn't it? To do with just if you had an account kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. If you had a Nintendo, I think the parameters you had to meet were different between the UK and the US. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right in that. Yeah.
The general rule was you had to be a Nintendo Switch Online customer for a couple of years and have a certain amount of play time, and then you'd get your invite on a certain date. But they didn't mention that other, like, third-party retailers were also going to have their own allocations, their own pre-orders that would come out before then. So I don't think anyone was expecting the pre-orders to come out so soon.
It was a rush. And then I don't know when I got mine. I must have got mine. You just kept an eye on it. You got an email saying...
because I'd signed up to...
Yeah. And then you texted me like 2 minutes...
get news about it.
2 minutes before it came up, you were like, "Oh, you've got 2 minutes. If you make a Smith's account, there's like more stock coming in." And literally 2 minutes, I had an account we were both on, and we got it. It was very easy. It wasn't as hard as because you hear about it being really difficult for everyone else. But it was quite easy it's really easy for you, but quite easy for me as well.
For me, I mean, I think the only reason mine was so easy was because nobody knew it was going to come. So the pre-orders must have gone out earlier on that day. I remember it was 7:15 when I had a look online. By 7:30 I had my order, and then about 3 or 4 minutes later, they're all sold out.
Yeah,
and then from that point onwards, it was all. But I think we ordered yours a few days later. I ordered mine on the same day.
Which was what?
Like
April 10th.
Mine was April the 2nd. If you have a look on your Smith's account, it'll tell you when you placed the order.
I think mine was April 7th or the 10th.
Or the 10th. One or two.
Yeah, but. Side note, how dragging this week is being waiting for the Switch to come out. I felt like the months leading up have been fine. I've not been, because I don't know why, it just felt like it went smoothly. This since 13 days, especially since we've been counting down every single day. I've got like a calendar on the fridge. Every day I tick it off. So it is dragging along now.
It is dragging along. The more I sit and I look at it, the worse it gets. The first month for me went quite quick because I moved house, but I've been looking at the Nintendo Today app every single day. So every time something new has come up on there, I've been like, must have a look. And they've kind of slowed down now on the Nintendo Today app. They don't have as much on there. It's quite a lot of Donkey Kong stuff. But we'll get into that later. The whole point we've started this video is we want to talk about why... because obviously we've pre-ordered it, so we think it's worth it at launch.
Yeah, but for different reasons, which is kind of what we'll go into anyway. But I'd definitely say for different reasons, me and you've got it on launch.
Yeah, I think... because part of my reason is this, to you guys, it's the YouTube channel, and I think leading up to it, before I'd actually seen the Direct, we'd had the announcement, and we'd seen the first look of the system, but we hadn't seen the Direct, and I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, I'm going to get it on launch, I'm going to do stuff about it on the channel, and I wasn't expecting to actually use it that much for Switch 2 stuff. Yeah. It was very much, I'm getting it on launch because of the channel, but if I didn't have the channel, I wouldn't be getting it on launch.
Really?
So, yeah. But that was before I'd seen any games. Wow. The only thing we had seen was the 2-minute long
short,
video
like, intro, where they showed the Switch 1 into the Switch 2.
Yeah, and the only thing we'd seen was little clips on it of Mario Kart, which...
Well, at the time, it was
just Mario Kart.
Yeah, they didn't even know if it was. They just kind of said, this looks like it could be a new Mario Kart game, and...
Yeah, kind of so... Before, I wasn't massively excited for it, but I thought I'm still going to get it. So that was one of the reasons why. But then we had the Direct, and there is actually so much on there that I'm looking forward to. Like, the Mario Kart, I think, yes, it's expensive, but I think it does look amazing.
Yeah, this is like a whole thing, isn't it? About the whole pricing thing. We've gone back and forward on it so many times. Yeah. I originally landed on, it doesn't really matter if you can get it cheaper with the bundle. If you want to get it, you'll get it with the bundle. The whole...
Yeah, exactly.
And I also, because Nintendo are doing this dynamic pricing thing, there was a lot of concern about, like, okay, well, that means that if Mario Kart is... like it's £75 in England, and what is it, $80 in America?
Yeah, 80? Yeah. Is it 80 or 85?
No, it's 80. It's got to be 80.
I think it's 80.
Yeah, 80.
Yeah, because it's... Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, when I look at that, and then people said as well, like, Donkey Kong being like 65, that's just telling us that Donkey Kong is not as good as a game as Mario Kart, and like you've not put as much effort into it. But the way I've always looked at that is I prefer that, because at least you know what you're getting when you're getting the game, and you can say, at least they're being honest, at least they're not trying to charge extra than what they think it's going to be, and they know how long Mario Kart's going to last, kind of thing. I've changed my opinion on it throughout the months leading up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a massive problem with the whole variable pricing thing. What I don't think people have really realised is a lot of third parties have been doing, especially on the Switch, they've been doing this for years. Games always used to be the price, the system kind of set price. If games on the PS3 always came out at £50 or $60 or whatever it was, every game pretty much, unless it was a really cheap movie tie-in game for a kid, everything came out at that price. Whereas now, everything third party kind of has different, like, variable pricing on it, depending on... Whereas Nintendo has always been, if you want Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's the full £50.
Yeah.
If you want Pikmin, that's still £50. You can do an awful lot more with Breath of the Wild than you can do with Pikmin. Yeah. They're still the same price. So I think they are trying to almost balance the books, because the big games like the Breath of the Wilds and the Tears of the Kingdom and the Mario Karts, they can push that a bit more, and they can charge a bit more than they really should have the right to.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, for the games like the Pikmins and stuff, they're going to charge below what they could charge. I mean, again, this is... I'm expecting... Obviously, we know that Donkey Kong is about 65.
65, yeah. But you've also got some third-party games that are... Like Hogwarts Legacy. That's one that we've spoken about, because I had that on PS4. Then I bought it on PS5. Then I got a Switch, and I've got it on Switch. And then I find out it's getting an upgrade on Switch 2, and I'm like, I think I'm getting it. And you're saying, I don't think you should do it. Then obviously we find out there's this like £8 upgrade, so I'm still going to get it. But that game is like £42 if you want to buy that brand new on Switch 2. So there's a nice balance, and they don't have to do that, because other third-party games, they are charging the full whack, and they could have gotten away with it. And
some are,
at
but
least
I think
not upgrading. They wouldn't have offered the upgrade. If they didn't want to, they didn't have to offer the upgrade.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the amount of effort that they're willing to put in, and what kind of backlash that, you know, the consumer reaction to it all, because I don't think they announced straight away that there was going to be an upgrade.
They didn't know.
It was just made out like it was going to be a standalone game, and I don't think people were too happy with that. But I think because I don't think they would have been able to charge full price, purely for the simple fact that if you like a game like Cyberpunk is brand new to the platform, we've never had it on a Nintendo thing before. It's having a lot of work done on it. I mean, I know the initial build that people have been able to do at the like kind of Switch 2 experiences around the world, I think the numbers given on that was 7 weeks worked on the build for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I heard that was an old.
It's not been that long that they've actually been working on it, but they're obviously going to be putting. It's a hard game to run, and it isn't bleeding edge hardware in the Switch 2, and it's also different architecture. It's ARM architecture. It's not kind of the standard PC platforms that the others are, but it's going to be a lot more work for them rather than what they're going to have to do for the Switch 2 version of Hogwarts Legacy. And I know you're excited, and I know you're going to get it, but
definitely,
I think personally just think it's a bit lazy.
The only reason I'm excited is because, so I got my Switch last year. I owned it for a month. I never owned one before. I think we had one knocking around the house.
Yeah, the OLED.
Yeah, and I was like sat around. I was getting really bored of just playing the PlayStation, because I'm just like a PlayStation guy. It's all I play. But there was games that I'm like, I've not played these since we were kids. Like, we grew up with Nintendo in the house, you know, and that was like a staple. We always had one. So I was like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I want to play. Breath of the Wild was like one that I was set on, like I want to get it. So I spoke to you. I think I said to you I'm going to get it, and then I got it. I had to sell it because I was moving house and there was so many bills that I was trying to pay off, and I was like, do you know what, this is too much, you know, to worry about right now. I'm just gonna get rid of it. I've not got time to play it. I'm just gonna shelve it, and I'll wait, and I'll buy it back in a few months when I've got time. And then it came to like, what was it, Christmas last year, and I said to you, like, I'm thinking of buying it back, but what do you think I should do?
Yes.
And you said I'd wait, and I was like, okay. And then that was it. You know, so we're here now. But
that's the kind of thing. It's about future-proofing yourself. You obviously, I mean, I've done videos in the past talking about my history, especially with the Switch, and the fact that it kind of got me back into gaming. But it was the games, the exclusives that were on the Switch, as well as being able to play the third-party stuff on the go, that kind of really drew me to it. But I've kind of played most of the stuff on the Switch I want to play. There's some big ones I've missed. Like, I haven't done Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and I really want to give that a go. And I know I've just ripped on Pikmin a bit, but I really do like Pikmin, and I do want to give it a go. But I at the moment I'm playing through Mario Odyssey, which I haven't done properly before. Mm-hmm. I've just picked up Splatoon. I've got one of the Pokemon games I'm giving a go. But the Mario Kart, I've finished that 100%. I've got everything. I've done Breath of the Wild. I've done Tears of the Kingdom. Collectively, I've got a few thousand hours on my Switch, which, considering I don't have a lot of time to play games at, much, having a family and kids and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I have fairly substantial amount of time in my Switch, so I've done everything I want to do. But for me, the reason why I thought, this is absolutely, I have to have this on launch, I can't wait, is, not only do we have the third-party support, the backwards compatibility. That's what I was going to say.
Yes,
the backwards compatibility. Like, we get to play the old games, and it means I can continue playing the stuff I already own, but we are getting the upgrades, and they are the key upgrades for games. Like, some of my Breath of the Wild is one of my favourite games of all time, and there is a massive kind of just to pick it up. I know you mentioned before you played Breath of the Wild for a bit. Playing it on the docked mode on the TV made you feel sick.
Yeah, it's very difficult. For me, it was really difficult. I've got like a bigger TV anyway, and it was just too much. I did prefer playing it handheld, but even with that, that's what I mean with for you, you're getting an upgrade of a game that you love already, and I didn't put a lot of hours into it. I didn't have the Switch for long enough to say I've played the game. So for me, and it's like
that's your perspective change, because for you it's new. You get to experience it for the first time.
That's what I mean. I get to experience it for the first time, and this is why I'm happy to get the Switch 2 on launch. If I had the Switch 1, I don't know if I would have gotten it on launch, but because I've only owned it for a short amount of time, literally I had it for like a month.
Yes.
For me to say I'm going to wait to experience everything you guys have experienced for the past 8 years, I get to experience for the first time on a console that's going to do it at the next level. I'm over the moon that I get to experience it at that level.
Yeah, you've got all this new, and I know you've got some games on your account you've owned digitally from when you had your Switch before, and I know you've been buying.
I've been buying.
You've bought Breath of the Wild. You've been stocking up a couple of games that we want to, and I think. So you've got stuff for you. The reason why it's worth it is because you didn't really get to experience the Switch. So you've kind of got two whole systems. I had a similar thing with the PS5. I skipped the PS4. And then I got the PS5. So when I play PS4 and PS5, I've got two systems in one I can go through and play.
Yeah, this is what I mean. And it's like, I know that I will enjoy it enough. Because we spoke, even before this, about, like, is it worth just getting a Switch 1 at obviously it's going to drop in price, you get the whole catalogue of all the stuff. There's not loads of, like, new games coming to the, console on launch. At least there's enough games for me to say, like, I could wait it out if I wanted to. I'm not, the third-party stuff, I could say I could play that on my PlayStation, and the exclusives, I can play it on the first Switch, but, it is what you said before about future-proofing yourself, and...
there's lots of... I mean, I'm yeah,
that's just...
getting all blabbermouth here. Yeah. I've sat here and just, again, for you guys, there will be videos coming out on all of this on launch day, but I looked at my order, as you have done as well, and my total spend for everything I've pre-ordered for the Nintendo Switch 2 is £701 and something odd pence. So I've given Nintendo £700 of my money, which is a lot of money. It's nearly a PS5 Pro.
That's the thing, yeah.
I mean, we'll come to that in a minute, but I've spent a lot of money, and the games I'm excited for so far are Breath of the Wild remastered.
Yep.
Mario Kart World, and not even released yet, coming out in a month after launch, Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah.
3 games. One of which I've already played and completed fully. Yeah. I've paid £700 for the privilege of doing... And it's not because I want to play Breath of the Wild in 4K. It's not because I think Mario Kart World's going to be the best thing and that alone is worth £700 plus the games. And it's because I am putting a tremendous amount of faith in Nintendo and their ability, as well as third parties as well. But for the games in the future, one of the big things I really liked about the Switch was I can play all of these games that I've played before on home consoles. Yeah. I can play that on the go. If I want to, I've mentioned it before, one of my favourite game series is the Assassin's Creed series. And now I can sit and I can play that on the toilet if I want to. And that is something that's never been able to, especially when you look back at the previous handheld versions of those games, looking at Assassin's Creed Bloodlines on the PSP, Liberation on the Vita, Discovery that was on the phones and on the DS.
Yeah.
The portable versions of those games were always dummy-down versions of the home console ones, and now I can play the home console ones wherever I want. So I'm excited to see what third party brings us in terms of games that we played on, games that a few years ago were like drop dead gorgeous, kind of how does this even run, now on a portable console that I can play anywhere. So the reason I'm buying it now, yes, I really want to experience the things now, but I know that I mean, we've had 8 years with the original Switch, so for me, it's a long-term investment. If we get another 8 years, and I've spent £700, that's less than £100 a year for just thousands of hours of entertainment that we're now going to get out of. I'm putting my faith in what Nintendo can do in the future. What's the next 3D Zelda going to be? What's the next 3D Mario going to be?
And another thing as well is, I'd say it's a fair statement, because even though I missed the Switch 1, really, it's not hard objectively to say that the Switch 1 was kind of like a test run. Can Nintendo do it? Can they bring themselves back? And it was kind of a test run. I know they didn't get a lot of third-party support straight off the bat, did they? They didn't want to be anywhere near it because of the Wii U. But because the Switch, I think, has proven itself, now these third parties can come along. Because they've proven themselves, now everyone will flock to it, and it will be, worth it for them to put the effort into making games for the console. So everyone kind of wins. But the fact that the console's got this upgrade of what it can do, mixed with the fact that these third parties will want to put their games on the platform, for me that's kind of a win-win. There's no, it's a no-brainer to want to.
Yeah, there's no reason for them not. I mean, Nintendo doing the backwards compatibility thing is going to bring all. There's Switch 1 has sold 150 million units, so there's potentially 150 million customers that are then going to move on to the Switch 2. And I think what made the Switch 1 such a success was the third-party support. So we've got some big ones out the gate. We've got Elden Ring, we've got Cyberpunk, updated version of Hogwarts Legacy. But, I mean, even the rumours are getting me excited. Like, we were talking the other day about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Insane.
Again, one of my favourite games.
If they did that, that would be next level for me. I'd love it if they did it, and I think they would do it.
I think they would, especially because I think the port of Red Dead 1 was fairly successful.
Yeah, it was good.
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, and I'm not. The haters are going to sit there and go, oh yes, but it's going to run really bad, because the rumours are now that there's going to be a next gen update. It's going to be done on PS5 and Xbox Series and Switch 2. And people are saying, oh, yeah, I know it was one of your things. You were kind of umming and ahhing, where would I play it?
I was just about to say this, actually. I remember saying to you, we were discussing it, and I was saying to myself, I love Elden Ring. I play Elden Ring. I've got 400 hours on it. It's one of my favourite games of all time. I would love to play it on the Switch just because I can. But then I was thinking to myself, regarding you were talking about the fact that you've got the Pro controller, and I said to you, the thing is, as to why I wouldn't get the Pro controller is because if I really want to sit down on the TV and play a game that I can play on either console, surely I'd want to just play it on the PlayStation. And you said, but on the Switch, at least you're given the choice. And when you said that, I was like, okay, that's actually a point that made me switch my brain into thinking, okay, that's a good point, because I could say to myself, I want to play Elden Ring on the PlayStation, on the TV, because it's going to run better and it's going to be, ergonomically better for me to sit and enjoy. But when you said, but the choice you have of when you don't want to play it on the TV, you have the choice. And that for me was I'm kind of more sold on it now. I understand it a bit more as to why you would prefer to get a game on Switch 2 rather than PlayStation, especially when, and I hope they start doing it, but when they start releasing games on all platforms. And I'm interested to see what console I lean towards getting it on first. Is it going to be just a novelty to want to get it on Switch 2? Or is it going to be... no, Switch 2 is now... And we spoke about this the other day, and I said, this feels like it could be the first console where Nintendo can stand shoulder to shoulder with Xbox and PlayStation, and it doesn't have to be them saying, we're the secondary console that you can get because we offer some exclusives, and you can get both, get a PlayStation and get us. I think this time they can sit there and say you can actually get just the Switch 2 and you can play everything you want,
or the other.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see on what games like. Let's say there's a game coming out. Like, let's pretend GTA 6 came to Switch 2, which I don't think it will, but let's pretend it did. Do you know what I mean? It's what would you get it on?
Yeah. I know, that's the... I mean, for me, that's a simple answer. I'd rather play it on the Switch because I've got the portability.
Yeah.
But for you, I think, until you start using the Switch and you start incorporating it, you won't be able to see kind of where it falls and where it lies, because it's that Switch thinking, that mentality. It's having the convenience. Like I like to sit in the living room, play my game on the TV with the Pro Controller. Then I think, I'm going to go to bed. I'll pick my Switch up. I can go and play it in bed. And I've dabbled in... There's obviously other consoles that provide similar experiences. So you've got... things like I've got the PlayStation Portal. So I can now play the PS5 in my bedroom, but I spent tens of pounds and probably tens of hours sat fiddling with network settings, routers, trying to route Ethernet cables, because when I first, obviously I've moved house now, but where I lived when I first got the Portal, it was a big Victorian brick built building. All the walls were made out of solid brick, so my Wi-Fi didn't reach from my living room where my router was to the bedroom. The Wi-Fi didn't reach, let alone be quick enough to support live streaming of a console without latency. So I had to get long Ethernet cables, run a second router, like a booster box in the bedroom, and it was so much faff. And the experience was all right. It was kind of, you can play, but it wasn't amazing. And all of the faff and all of the effort to get an experience that actually wasn't that good meant that I never reached for if there was a game I really wanted to play, like I played through most of Final Fantasy VII Remake when we first found that and started playing that last year. I played through most of that on the Portal because I got used to it, but it was never one I just reached for. I'm like, I'm going to have to charge it up, make sure the internet's all right. If everything is in a good, if the PlayStation's in a good mood, then it will work. And that's a lot of fat. Same with Xbox Remote Play, same with the Remote Play on the phone for the PlayStation, even the same with like cross progression and things. I can, if I want to play The Witcher 3, I can play that on my PS5. And I can have cross-save, cross-progression, so I can play it on the PS5, nice, big screen, whatever, looks really good. If I want to then carry on playing The Witcher 3 in the bedroom, it can then transfer the save to my Switch, and I can play it that way. But getting that set up is so much faff.
Yeah, it is. It's the convenience isn't really there, and it's like you have to put more effort into the console than the console put into you to enjoy.
It's the big thing I think appeals to console gamers, because you have console gamers, you have PC gamers, and PC gamers love sitting there fiddling. You'll spend an hour when you get your game working through the settings, trying to tweak it, tickle it behind the ears, make sure that it's done exactly as you want it, so that you've got the best type of performance that you want. And I mean, I have a gaming laptop, and I have to do that because it's a laptop, it's not a desktop, so I have to I quite a lot just to get it to a decent kind of frame rate. But I don't want to. I just want a console. I want that done for me. I just want to sit. If I've got limited time to play a game, I want to sit down and want to play it. I don't want to spend the hour I've got to play a game setting the game up or fiddling with it. Same with setting up the cross progression or remote play or things like. So I think just the convenience of that will make me want to go for it more. And I think when you get it and start working that into your kind of use case, I think you'll start doing that as well, especially when we're going to have a console now that the jump between PS4 and PS5 generation, it wasn't actually that big. So And I
not
think
not
the
not as
Switch
big as
2
it
is
should have been.
not as big as it should have been. So I think that, and conservative estimates are Switch 2 is as powerful as a PS4. Some people say it's PS4 Pro. Some people say it's closer to the Series S. I think it's kind of somewhere in between. But
Yeah.
I mean, we are not far behind now what is supposedly the cutting edge with this portable console. So I think it won't be as big a downgrade if you decide to play the Switch version rather than the home console version.
Yeah.
And I've always been one of the people that rathers the convenience over the graphical fidelity. And I think it's going to be an even smaller gulf now between the two. That it's going to... More people are going to be interested in getting the Switch 2 going forward.
Yeah. And yeah, this is the thing as well. It's not... It will shift. Obviously, it's exciting for Final Fantasy VII coming to the Switch. I'm so excited for it.
Such a good game.
There will be a time when it goes past that and it's like, oh, now I'm getting it. Now I'm getting this new game on release and I'm getting it for this console. And like I said before, it's just to do with the perspective on, like, should I get the console? Is it worth it for me? It has to come down to the perspective of what your relationship is to, like, playing games in general and, you know, what it means to you to, like, if you already own a Switch, is it worth it to get one? If you don't own a Switch, is it worth it to get one, kind of thing? And this is like what we talk about in general is what are reasons for someone to not get it? Like, why would you say, what would be the better alternative? To wait until, like, the Christmas market, or wait until a year down the line, or do you get it on release? Like, what is a reason? And I'd like to talk about why you shouldn't get it before we talk about why you should get it.
Yeah, well, I think obviously we want to play these games as soon as they come out on release, and we have the disposable income to do that. But I think if you're a kid, you're going to be excited and you want to, I really want to play this game. The new thing's coming out, so of course I want to play it straight away. And it's annoying that it's coming out in the middle of the year because my birthday's nowhere near it, or Christmas is nowhere near it. But I don't think for the majority of people, we talked about there's 150 million Switch 1 owners.
Yeah.
They're not going to jump straight over to the Switch 2 because there's not going to be enough for them. Or in that case, like my wife, she has the Switch Lite. She's happy with her Switch Lite. She doesn't want the Switch 2 yet. She doesn't want to jump straight to that because it doesn't do anything for her that would warrant the upgrade. I mean, it is expensive.
Yeah,
but there has to be enough features behind. There are features that you and I are going to take advantage of straight away. We want the upgraded games. We want the new games. We have already talked about, we're really excited about this game chat thing and being able to, like, do little game nights and hang out that way.
Pre-ordered, like, the camera, and it's like
cameras.
Even if it was just a novelty, it's like, well, we want to explore that novelty. We don't mind just going along with the gimmick because we've not been able to do that really before.
No, but we're kind of indulging ourselves. Whereas I don't think, I mean, if the only thing you played was Animal Crossing and a bit of Mario Kart, and then, you know, you haven't really touched your Switch since, or if you you dabble in the kind of lighter games, you don't play it's kind of third-party stuff, but it's the lighter stuff. You aren't really that, and, the Switch is the only console maybe you've had or whatever. I don't think it's going to be worth it to get it straight away. I think in that use case, it's going to be wait for enough stuff to be on the system that, the stuff you want's going to be on there, for one, but two, there's going to be sales. There's no... Just because it plays all the games that you've already got on your... if your favourite game on there is Story of Seasons or Stardew Valley or something like that, just because it plays Stardew Valley on the new system doesn't mean you need to go and get the new system. It means that you can carry on playing it on the old one. But when new stuff, new exclusives come out,
Yeah.
that's when I am obviously now big into gaming. I run a YouTube channel that talks about gaming, but I thought the launch of the PlayStation 5 back in COVID was a bit pathetic. There was nothing on there at launch that was like, yes, this is amazing, I must get it. I didn't get my PS5 until 2 years later when Gran Turismo 7 came out.
Yeah,
That for me was the game that I was like, I need to get it. I didn't even. I'm gonna have a look.
Yeah, because I was gonna this is the launch games for the PS5 in my head, off the top of my head, was Demon Souls, and it was
So there was Demon
Ratchet and Clank?
Souls, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
cross-platform,
and Astro's Playroom. Oh wait, no, I've got a list.
Was it Ghost of
I've got a bigger
Tsushima
list.
came out as well? Ghost of Tsushima was around launch.
Games available at the PS5 launch include Astro's Playroom, Demon Souls, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Sackboy:
That's
A
right.
Big Adventure. There were then third-party launch titles, but they were mostly either to show off the PS4 upgrade thing. So you had Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you had Borderlands 3, that was a free PS4 upgrade. Bugsnax was a PS4 game.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, Devil May Cry, Destiny, Fortnite, blah, blah, blah. There wasn't everything pretty much third party.
This is what I mean.
Apart
When I
from
say
a couple of things I might be missing, was all on last gen and it was on new gen. There was nothing kind of like PlayStation 5 exclusive.
This is what I mean. I survived
really worth it.
for 3 years. I managed to survive just on my
Yeah,
PS4.
into that generation with your PS4.
I was still fine with the games. There were some games that I was like frustrated. Like when Hogwarts Legacy came out, I don't know if you remember this, but it was a staggered launch where it came out on current gen, but people who had the old gen had to wait months, and it got delayed. It was like 3 months until it came out, and then it got delayed again. Same thing with it came to the Switch last. It was around that time where I was like, okay, maybe now I should look at getting a PS5. But I managed to survive, so that's the reason why I'm like, if you think you can survive on the Switch 1, you probably can. Because if you think you can survive, then you obviously know what kind of stuff you play. That's where I'm like, okay, you could survive on just getting a Switch 2 at a later date.
You can always wait. I mean, we're talking about a luxury console here, but it's. I don't think, looking at what was available on the PS5, and then, I mean, if I go back to Smiths, let's have a look. Smiths, gaming,
You know, and also here's to hoping that the Switch 2 has just observed how it went for those consoles that came out, and obviously the gaming industry now is such a weird place because there's so many like different turns people are going in, and like they're understanding consumers want this different thing, they don't want this. Everything we've been doing for the past 4 years has kind of been in the wrong direction, so there's an adjustment that's going to happen, I think, for the next few years, and I think Nintendo will be able to steer themselves in the right direction because they've seen how it's kind of gone down. So I'm not worried about the fact that there's not loads and loads of first party stuff that's coming to Switch 2. I think that they do have stuff up their sleeve. I read yesterday something about another Direct could be coming in June, or like talks of there could be another Direct, and obviously it's going to be summer, so there's going to be like showcases and like Summer Game Fest. We spoke about this. I wonder how many games at Summer Game Fest are like third party that are going to be announced for Switch 2 as well. There's probably going to be a big lineup from now until the end of the year, where a lot of games are coming out on Switch 2. You know, and
I think,
will they have things in their back pocket? Could they announce a new 3D Mario for the holiday period? You know, could they surprise everyone?
I think their strategy is going to be like they're going to have to try and find something big to keep reeling people in. I think one of the big things that led to the Switch One's success was COVID.
It was, yeah.
I mean, Animal Crossing managed to come out at the perfect time, at the moment where we weren't allowed to go outside, we weren't allowed to see other people, we weren't allowed to socialise. Out came a game that was all about going out, seeing people and socialising.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of came out, and everyone was sat at home, so everyone was like, oh, I want to play some games, I want to get back... That's what I did. I wanted to get back into gaming, because I was sat at home.
And did the...
So what was Switch?
Did the Switch... Was the Switch Lite out at that point as well?
Yes, yeah, the Switch Lite...
Because I bet that really... I swear... No, it would have been
2019, I think.
Because do you remember there was a launch console with Animal Crossing. There was like loads of Animal Crossing consoles, wasn't it? The Switch Lite. Was it the Switch Lite or was it the normal Switch that was like Animal Crossing themed?
There was a normal... I know there was a special edition... like normal Switch.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a Lite.
It had the dock, and it had the controllers. They're all the same colours. I know the original Switch had a special edition. I think that came out at launch.
Yeah.
I know the Switch Lite also got a special edition. I don't know if that happened at launch of Animal Crossing, but I've got it here. Yeah. The Switch Lite was officially released on September 20th, 2019.
Yeah.
So that was pre-COVID.
That would have
the Lite was out
a lot with sales.
It was a cheaper... I remember when the Switch Lite came out, I didn't hear about it. This was before I started getting back into it, but I remember when it came out, and I remember looking at it in the shop and thinking, because it was £200, and I thought, it's not pricey.
It's not ridiculous. It's not,
It wasn't, to get the entire Switch Live, the game library and things like that for £200.
Technically, Switcher cheaper than the 3DS at launch, no?
Yeah, 3DS at launch, I think...
349 was it? Or was it like 249?
No. It was... I know it's $249 in America. I think in England at launch it was $180. $179.99.
It's cheaper, yeah.
But remember, again, that was back in 2011, so...
That's what I mean.
Convert that now to today, that's probably closer to what the original Switch was at launch.
Yeah.
£250. So I think, there were lots of reasons that the Switch 1 had the legs to keep going with the popularity right up until the end of its life. I mean, it's still not the end of its life. We've got Metroid coming out at the end of this year, as well as a new Pokemon game. Like, this stuff is still... The Switch 1's still getting games. That's another reason I don't think everyone needs to upgrade to the Switch 2 straight away.
There you go.
Can still... The big... I was going to say AAA. I kind of want to laugh because Pokemon is really...
Yeah.
Pokemon's a great game, but Game Freak really don't know how to make a 3D game.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, that's still one of Nintendo's biggest hitters. I mean, Pokemon, I don't know if you know this, Pokemon is the biggest franchise in the world in terms of... Like, bigger than Disney in terms of how much money they've made.
I think you're right, yeah. I think I have heard that before.
Got all that money, and they don't know how to make a game. But a game actually isn't the biggest part of how they make their money. But trying to pull this back a little bit, the Switch 1 still has a brand new Pokemon game coming out at the end of this year. And Metroid Prime 4, which I know you haven't really experienced Metroid.
No.
Haven't really. I've looked at it a little bit. The new one looks kind of interesting. I like the look of it more than you do, I think. But
yeah,
that's still a big game, and for a Switch 1 game that looks really good.
I do remember I watched some clips. I saw someone talking about that they didn't know if what the footage that was shown of it was running on Switch 1 or Switch 2, and to me I was like, it's quite interesting considering, it's also another... So should you actually get the Switch 2 if it looks that good? But...
been confirmed that when it was shown at the Switch 1 Direct, it was confirmed it was running on Switch 1 hardware. And I think if you'd shown that, if it wasn't a Nintendo IP, you'd shown that to someone and said, that's running on a PlayStation 4.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
you'd have
easily.
Gone, yeah, of course, absolutely. No, so I don't think... There are reasons to upgrade to a Switch 2. There aren't many reasons to upgrade to a Switch 2 straight away. No, I think what's going to make that is game library, when the games come out that are exclusive to that make it worth upgrading to it, then that's when you'll get it. But the Switch 2 being kind of killed off and left behind isn't going to be one of them, because it's at least until the end of this year still got support. So the earliest that you could ever think, right now, I can't play the games I want to play now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be next year, and this is assuming Nintendo aren't going to come out the gate at the end of this year with another direct going, oh yeah, by the way, new game coming out on Switch 1.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is why I'm like, if you're in a similar position to me where it's like you want a Switch, or you know for a fact you want a Switch, and you've got a whole library. How long was the Switch out for? It was 8 years it's been out for, so you've got 8 years of games to play, and you've never really owned one. To me, it's a no-brainer. You should get it. If you know you want one, if your decision is based off of, should I get a Switch 1 or a Switch 2, for me, I'd say just get a Switch 2.
Yeah.
For people who are in the grey area, though, who already own one, and they can play that, there are games that are still coming out for the Switch 1 that they can say, oh, I want to play that, and I can play that. And because there's there'll be like a gradual passing of the torch from Switch 1 to Switch 2, you have time to just relax and, keep playing your Switch 1. It's not going to be made redundant because the Switch 2 comes out,
No, I don't think it will at all. But I think we could just sit here and talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
About whether or not. I mean, for us, it's worth it, but we are very deep into this hobby.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for everyone yet, straight away. I think the main takeaway is it's not for everyone yet.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective to have on it. It's like, and also
especially if you own a Switch 1.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and it's okay to wait as well. It's not not a bad thing if you want to wait. It's not and I don't think you shouldn't feel like you're missing out too much, because obviously whenever a new console comes out, there's going to be people who get excited just because it's a new console. But I think if you just look past the fact that it's just new,
look at the games that you can only play because you need to buy a Switch 2. It's going to be Donkey Kong, it's going to be Mario Kart, because let's face it, all the third-party stuff is available elsewhere.
Yeah, just the Switch exclusives. Is it worth
there's
the 400 and whatever it is? Yeah.
Is it worth, especially then you've got to factor in the upgrades. I mean, yes, Kirby in the Forgotten Land, I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
that looks really cool. That's one I might have a look at. But even if you own that, you've got to pay for an upgrade to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the extra content. You've got Kirby, you've got Super Mario Party.
Yeah.
You've got Donkey Kong, which isn't even out at launch. I don't even know why we're talking about it, because it's not a launch game.
No,
you've got Mario. You've got 3 things.
Yeah.
That can't be done elsewhere. You've got Mario Kart, the add-on for Super Mario Party, and the add-on for Kirby.
Yeah, I think a lot of our reasoning for getting the Switch 2 at launch is because we just have, and maybe not a good thing to do, but we just have faith in the idea that the console's going to deliver things that we want in the long run, But technically, let's say that they are going to have loads more games coming out around the holiday season. I could technically wait. But I already know that I'm going to want one. I already know that there's a whole catalogue of games that I've never played before that I get to experience with upgrades at the best. It's going to look the best it can, which a lot of people would say they're jealous of, because for everyone that I've ever heard speak about games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, they say it's like the best game they've ever played, and I get to have it the best it can look. So for me, it's like,
you can, of course, you can. I mean, it's one of those games I'd love to. If I could pay money, I would, to experience it for the first time again.
This is what I mean.
And you get to in the best way.
Yeah. So I'm like, for me, I'm like, of course I'm going to get it at launch, and of course I'm going to spend the next 6-7 months playing all the games I never got to play before, and then I'll get to this holiday season where there could be way more games coming out, and then I just get to kind of breathe the console in. And like you said before, if you want to enjoy the console, just buy games for it. And that's one thing that always kind of struggle with, especially because Nintendo games, they hold their value, so they're always expensive. Yeah. So if you get a Nintendo game, you have to make sure that you want to play it. You can't just, you know, think, I'm going to casually pick up this game.
You've got to... I mean, the rule I kind of follow now is I try not to sell anything, because I know even if I get over it now, you know, I might play it for a bit. Yeah. You know, I've had my fun now. I know that, you know, whether it's a couple of weeks, a couple of months, however long... that want to play that game again is going to come back round. Yeah. Like we were talking the other day, you've started looking at Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yes, yeah.
I love that game. I have dabbled with it on the Wii originally. I've dabbled with the 3DS port, and then I started playing properly. I did probably about 30 hours of the Switch port, and then I sold it to pay for some other games, and that game has held its... I mean, secondhand, that's worth about £40 now.
Insane, yeah.
Which is a lot of money, and now I found, because we've been talking about it, now I'm like, oh, I'd love to play that game again. That's one I really want to get back into, and I've now got to find another £40.
This is what I mean. But I think
so you got to hold on to the stuff you buy.
And I think just like...
But also, like you said, buy well.
You need to, you have to have a perfect balance of, okay, like... shop for games that you... do your research about the games you want, but don't be shy. Don't be scared off by the idea that, like, oh, they're going to be expensive and I can get it cheaper elsewhere. I think just invest in it. But also, the reason why I like the idea of having a Switch is because it feels like it's the only console really where the exclusives matter. Do you know what I mean? And the games that I can play on the Switch that I can't play anywhere else are the most exciting exclusives for a console. And I've not been able to experience them. I've not experienced them when I got the OLED Switch, I played Mario Kart, and it was the most excitement I've had in playing games. And I hadn't played Mario Kart since we were kids on the Wii or the DS when we used to play it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I feel like I'm almost coming home to this console because of the IP. So there is an element of, like, you know, refamiliarizing myself with this console and a brand that I loved.
Yeah, I think this will be your... like I had it for the Switch one, it kind of like pulled me right back into it, and I kind of can't pull away now. I think this is going to do, especially, again, probably the last good reason that we have for buying this on launch is it's going to be extra special now. It's brand new. It's your brand new console. No one else has owned it before you. No one else has touched it before you. But you got that on launch. You know that out of all the Switches that will ever be sold, yours is one of the oldest ones because you've had it at launch.
You know, you're part of history of a launch, and that's always like a nice thing to think of. I was there. I was involved. That's
why I'm jealous almost of America, because the US, they've got like GameStop are doing midnight launches. Hi guys, I'm just editing the video now, and I just thought I'd jump in quickly with what we're about to say next. We talk about the fact there's no midnight launch for the Switch 2 in the UK, and the point is, about 20 minutes after we finished recording, there was an announcement that Smiths was getting a midnight launch. So factually this is incorrect, but obviously we didn't have that information at the time, so just bear that in mind through the next portion. There's nothing doing that in England. There's nowhere. If they did, where we've pre-ordered ours, if I could go and collect mine at midnight, I'd go and collect mine at midnight. Yeah. But the game scene in England is just rubbish.
It's disappointing, and it feels like it has kind of regressed. But I hope there's some resurgence of it. I hope there's like something that it comes out eventually, and they start bringing it back. But I've just kind of accepted defeat on it, really. That, you know, jealousy is the only option we've got.
Unless you want to buy it at CEX, which I'm not going to say the proper name of pronouncing that name, but unless you want to buy your stuff secondhand there, your options are either buy it online, from an online retailer, or you can. I mean, we've still got Game, but that's not what it used to be. You mentioned that earlier to me when we were talking earlier on. You said it's just a toy shop.
Yeah, it's just like a knick-knack toy shop for
knick-knack. Basically what we have is HMV, because that's knick-knacks and
just like
stuff
little
like
things.
that. Which is why that's why I've ordered mine through Smiths now, because it's the last. I mean, the gaming section in a Smiths isn't great anyway, but it's the last kind of. It's a big box toy shop. There's not many of those left in England either, so it's. I'm trying to keep as much excitement as I can get from it.
This is what I was just about to say. It's like the whole excitement of the launch. There's a part of it that's the console, but a big part of it's the fact that it's launch, and like for you, you're excited to get up, get dressed, head to where you're going to pick it up, which I can't do because I've not got a Smiths near me where I live, so I've got to just sit around all day and hope that it gets delivered in a reasonable time. But you going to pick it up is that's an exciting reason as to why you want to get it on launch. More than just getting the console in the first place. Like if you had a choice of do you want to go and get the console or wait for the console to be brought to you, you'd probably say I want to go get it, because that's part of the experience of getting the console on day one. Yeah.
But
I
mean we could talk about this.
Yeah, we could. I know we've got so much that we could yabber on about. I think we've gone over what we thought we'd do.
Let me have a look. Let me see what the time is.
Let's see if I went through my notes as well. What did I... Because I wrote quite a lot. I don't think I spoke about anything. What did we miss? To be honest, the stuff that I wrote down is stuff that people kind of know. I mean, they know everything we've spoken about anyway, but the only thing I could think of... actually, no, we did hit a lot of points. The only thing I've got is retro games that they offer, which was just me going to say about how they're continuing to expand upon, like, the library of other consoles. Like the GameCube
we
thing. We didn't dive into that. No. But that was another reason as to why I'm like, of course, because Mario Sunshine, when that comes out... when
Mario
we were
Sunshine...
Kids, that game was our game.
One of my favourite games.
Yeah.
I don't think... That I think would have been... We haven't even touched on that. I can't believe we've gone this entire...
This is what I mean.
An hour and 10 minutes into the video.
Notes.
Haven't even touched about this, so we'll quickly touch upon this. But I think if the Mario Kart and the Breath of the Wild updates and all of if none of that had sold me, the GameCube would have.
Yeah, that's what
That's one of the reasons why I've gone and spent the £59 it is on... I've pre-ordered the controller.
Yeah, this is what when I got the OLED Switch, the one massive part that had me was the N64 titles. N64 was like my favourite console when I was a kid. Banjo-Kazooie was like my favourite game. GoldenEye, Super Mario 64. Yeah. So when I got the OLED Switch and I loaded them in, I think we played some GoldenEye on the Switch as online. Well. Yeah, and that was like, we used to do that when we were little. So that was like a huge reason as to why this console is one that I would keep around just because of that. So the fact that they're still expanding on that and there's loads of other consoles you can get virtually, that's a huge reason as to why I'm getting it. And when Super Mario Sunshine comes out, that's almost, I could say that's like a console seller for me, because I just can't wait to get back into it, because I've not played it since we had a GameCube.
I'm going to have to force you to do, like I did for my video, because I've done it a few times now, you're going to have to do a 100% run.
Oh, I'll do it. I'd love to do it. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway. That's all I've got, really. I think that's literally... Yeah.
Okay, well... We will wrap up then.
Yeah, go on then.
I don't really know how we're going to put a sum up to the end of what is just an hour-long ramble, so I'm sorry. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But, yeah. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this style of video. If you didn't mind the interference from my brother, we can get him on again.
Yeah, I'd love to. This is fun.
Obviously, he's pre-ordered the Switch as well, and he's got the... So I've ordered the official Nintendo camera, and I will be doing a video on that. He's ordered the Piranha Plant one, so we can get him to do some stuff on that as well. Yeah, cool. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments about what you think, whether or not you're getting the Switch 2, whether or not you think it's worth it, whether or not it's something you'd like to get, but you can't quite get yet, or whatever. So just let me know your reasons. Let me know whether or not you like the video, and I want to thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.